All right, welcome everybody to the closing staff. I'm Tradeho. We also have.
Distro?
And Cash Wrap here.
All right, and to all of those unfamiliar with our podcast, we're all former GameStop employees. We're just to give a disclaimer for everyone listening. We don't want to be one of those rant type podcasts. We're actually here to do constructive criticism on our experiences.
Trying to keep it nice and easy.
Yeah, and so our topic for today is basically our day-to-day. We're going to kick it off with the Cash Wrap.
Yes, we are going to kick it off with me. By the way, how is everyone doing today?
Doing pretty good.
I think we're all cool.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. It's a little hot right now.
It is kind of hot.
I mean, we're all cool, but
ready for episode 2.
Yeah,
you know, this professional studio we're in, there's no EC, so it's a little tough to sit here for.
We're living large,
and we try not to turn on the fans so that you can hear our fantastic voices.
Yeah, or we can put another mic in front of the fan and have that be our guest. But that's fine too. We don't need much input from that guy. But this is episode 2 that we have here, and so last time we kind of went over, we just had some nice chit chat about the store that we're all from, that we all hail from, our old stomping grounds. I think. Most of us have lots of fond memories of working there at that store.
Oh yeah.
I got started there. Distro got started there as well before he went on to a very illustrious career with GameStop, and Tradehold as well had a small appearance there as well as a worker, as an employee. As a valued employee, but also a long time as a customer too. And I think actually you're probably the only one here who was a customer longer than
before getting hired. You mean?
Yeah.
Is that right, Distro?
Yeah, Tradehold's shopping with us for a while.
Yeah, he was shopping with us for a while.
At least for a year plus, maybe 2 years.
Yeah.
At least for as long as I was there, he was shopping with us.
In Distro, you didn't shop there.
I shopped there.
But a lot before you started.
So the thing was, I'd come in, not as much as Tradehold would.
Right.
But I would come in, because my thing was I'd buy a game and then it'd take me a minute to beat it, and then I beat it, and then I'd come in for my next game,
But you weren't you were a regular, but not for a long period of time before you.
Yeah, not for a long period of time, maybe for about a year beforehand.
And then then that's when you jumped.
And that's when I jumped into that position,
Yeah. And I feel like Tradehold, you were a customer for probably since we opened.
I was a customer from the original manager that we talked about. Yeah. I don't know whether it was from day one opening, but it
was pretty early on.
Yeah, the original manager was still there when I was there, and he was still there for a good year or so.
Oh, okay. Even after you started, he was still there for a year after.
No. He was there when I was shopping.
Right.
The year or two that I shopped there, he was still there. When I started working was months, only a few months after the new manager came in. So I was there. Yeah, I was shopping for a while, but at the time I was working at a fairly well-known company.
Right. Yes.
I'm not gonna mention right now.
You were there before.
Yeah, because remember you'd always tell us that you would drop off one of your coworkers, right, or your friend, just right down the way.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's why you'd swing through, because the drive home was just there's so much traffic, so you're I was gonna hang out for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
See what's new, see what the news is.
Yeah.
Talk about Final Fantasy 15.
Versus 13 back then.
Versus 13 at that time.
I was the go-to guy for anyone who wanted Versus 13 information. And I told everybody about it.
That was your specialty.
Yeah. And everyone always assumed I was a big Final Fantasy fan, which isn't exactly true. It was just the Versus 13.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Although I had played a good, almost all of them.
A good amount. Yeah.
But
so you guys were customers for some time, and I wasn't. So I think that's probably just the general idea and indicative of what we're trying to do with the show is, get a wide range of experience, but it all revolves around our store, our home store, and our ins and outs in the day to day that we all went through in the different positions that we held at that store. So, last episode we dove into a little bit of the store itself, the history of it, and how we serve the communities, the different, micro communities in the area. But this time, I don't know, I'm thinking, there's a lot to be said of what happened outside of the store and how we had an impact outside of the store. But there's a lot the same amount, if not more, to be said of what happened inside the store as well. And I mean, me being there since opening, that store opened, and then, you know, for 5 years, maybe 6 years. Yeah, I guess it was 5 years. Jeez, I always forget how long it's been. It's crazy. But and just seeing it grow and evolve and change, and this thing breaks, and this smells weird, and this is over here is flooding, and this over here, this guy's getting fired, and this guy's getting brought on, and I don't know. I think just like seeing the lay of the land as it was when I left is so different than what it was when we first started, and so yeah, I mean, you know, the store itself has changed so much, and I remember pulling up for the first time after training, because we did training off-site at another store. So I remember pulling up that night that it opened, or the night that, you know, I think it was the night before opening, and just seeing, you know, I think the lights didn't work in front. The GameStop signage in front didn't work, so it was just like game, and the stop part wasn't lit up, so it just said game out front, which was a great way to start the store.
Yeah, right, starting strong.
Yeah, it was a very strong start. But yeah, I just remember pulling up and like walking in and like taking a tour of it after hours before, you know, we got going, and just remembering like the smell of the new store and like how everything was in place, and
yeah, right.
The walls
nothing like a fresh GameStop, you know, like
yeah, the carpet was
being
new,
opened, you know,
the bathroom
Fresh
had not
GameStop
been
smell.
that red carpet that got gum and stuff stuck in it after a long time, you know,
and the walls were all in alphabetical order, and they were just, you know, as perfect as you're ever going to see them. And because, you know, the opening crew for that store were other managers. You know, it was kind of like inventory. When you ran an inventory, you had other managers come in because, you know, they could be trusted with that kind of thing.
Yeah, right.
Well, same thing for opening a store. I think there were a few volunteers lower level, but it was mainly driven by the manager of that store, of our store, and also managers in the area.
You're right, 'cause they want to hold that standard too.
Exactly.
You know, like that manager standard, you know.
It was bringing in the standard of, you know, manager work, because we wanted to get things started off on the right foot. And yeah, I remember that, you know, walking in, everything's new in its place, cash wrap and registers were all perfect, and bathroom never been used, and we had a full, complete, healthy stock of every system and every game you would ever want at that time, because obviously we hadn't been shopped at before. So yeah, it was nuts, man. Being at a brand new store is pretty great.
I can imagine, only like especially at that time too. You know?
Yeah, especially like, at that time.
Before the new gen consoles came out, we were still selling 360 and PS3.
This is 360, you know? PS3 time, yeah. So, which, you know, wasn't that long ago, but
still, I mean, you know, like just seeing like how like they whittled out PSP, you know, like the UMDs,
pretty shortly
and, like,
after
all that stuff, you know, just to make room for like. Because remember, we'd ask ourselves, like, how are we going to fit PS4 and Xbox One?
Yeah.
You know, like, our store is, like, doesn't have room for it. And now here we are with, like, a store that's split in half, you know? Or
we struggled with where we're going to put all these used games. It's like, oh, we're not going to have that many used games. It's a new system. Mm-hmm. But never underestimate people's need of trading in, because we got so many trade-ins on even, like, the first week of release of that console.
That was a high-traffic store.
It was a high-traffic
comparable to, like, mall location.
Yeah.
And I was gonna say it broke my heart when when they brought in that policy, not the policy, but like just the new thing of throwing away cases just to fit more games in. And I was just like, oh, I'm a collector, so I'm just like throwing away those cases. Like,
especially when I ran my store, at least for like the PSP stuff and like the DS stuff, I know what people want.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know what's like to separate like the Monopoly or like the, you know, that random like Brain Age case, you know.
Yeah.
And then like actually keep like the Kingdom Hearts, you know, Dream Drop Distance, you know, or like. Keep like, or like, was it 358 and a half days, you know?
Yeah, 358 over 2 days.
You know,
or like
and
the
like
world ends with you.
Keeping the Chrono Trigger case with the game, you know, like keeping all, because I'm like, well, how are you gonna throw these away? Because like, you know, there's gamers out there that they want that case. I want the case.
Yeah,
you know, like,
yeah.
I mean, you gotta really know your customers, because yeah, I mean, some people will look for those games, but
or even like games like The World Ends with You.
Yeah,
and
The World
stuff,
Ends with
like,
You. Yeah, exactly.
They won't buy it without the case.
Exactly.
You know?
Right.
Like
Exactly,
they'll see it in the plastic little like clamshell, and they'll be like, it's a good game, but I want it with the box.
Yeah. You know, thinking back, I don't think that we had. If we had a glass case, it was it was very minimal, because I remember when we opened, we still had room on the wall for DS cases, so we had the full cases for some of those games. Oh, and that's the other thing too, is when your store opens, it's supplied by other stores in the area and what they're willing to give up, in addition to the warehouse too. The warehouse will pad your walls with, you know, the easy to sell, you know, old Call of Duty games or whatever, NHL 09, Madden, whatever,
Grand
you
Theft
know.
Autos.
Like, the warehouse would take care of the easy stuff, but you had to really make friends. You really hope that you had friends in the district who, when you had a store opening, that they'd be willing to let go of, you know, your Metroid Prime trilogies or your, you know, Xenoblade Chronicles or something. Because if you didn't have, you know, good stuff on day one, then you didn't have anything to impress anyone, you know, when those collectors started coming through the door.
That's true.
That's
Xenoblade Chronicles sold for what, like $90?
Yeah.
How much was that game? With the box, people would buy that real quick too.
90,
you know?
yeah. And until the whole thing they found out was just GameStop holding on in stock or printing or something like that.
This was before all that controversy.
You know, this is before none of that hoopla.
This is when we were, you know, is when you really counted on your connections at other stores, because, you know, favor for a favor. Hey man, I helped you in your last inventory. You better let go of that freaking, you know, Lost Odyssey that's impossible to find now, and I'm looking for a copy of that. You know, can you shoot it over to me?
That's true. I always tell people, like, working at GameStop and being a manager at least is almost like being like on Survivor. You have your own alliance, you know?
Yeah.
At some point, like, you build your alliance by, like, meeting up with other managers at inventory or, like, helping, like you said, like, doing a favor for someone real quick.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, you know, like, I got you a transfer, you know, like, I'm gonna send you a game. If I need something, you got me, right? And, like, you kind of build your alliance like that way, you know?
And I mean, that's just something a manager has to face every day. I mean, with RSP transfers, with, you know, individual game requests, and you're calling another store for a transfer or whatever.
Because especially, like, stores in your immediate area, like, you have to, like, know at least, like, you know, your immediate managers, you know?
Yeah.
Because sure, there's some that can't make it, you know, or, like, it's going to take more time for them to transfer it over, you know?
Right.
I can understand that, you know, but, like, it's nice knowing at least your neighbor, like, GameStop is, like, you know, like, your sister store almost is going to come through and, you know, help you out real quick.
And, I mean, inter-store politics and, you know, utilizing those connections and fostering those relationships, that's a whole nother episode altogether.
So it's like playing an RPG, dude. You know,
you gotta have your party members, you know.
Yeah, you know, exactly.
Yeah, you don't go on this territory. You're not that level yet. Yeah. You can't go up there. You can't go up there and ask them for favors because you're not that level yet. They're a different clan altogether.
I'm sorry, we call it closing staff. I think I meant to say a GameStop Persona edition.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so I mean that was kind of cool, walking into a store and seeing some of those rare items on the shelf that, you know, it might have come from the warehouse, which was cool, but more times than not it was a sacrifice from someone in the area. And
yeah, right, no, it's true. And
it was cool. It was cool just seeing, you know, the GameStop community, the employee community kind of pull together and say, hey, we got this brand new store opening, man. Let's shoot them some good stuff and make sure they get off to a good foot, which we did. We did start off at a very, very strong foot.
Yeah, I really like that store still. Like, it's got good energy. It's a big store, too.
Yeah.
And the thing I loved about that store at the time when I'd come in, like, we'd always have, like, the cool stuff. At the time, it was, like, the R2-D2 Xbox 360.
Yeah,
You'd see people with, like, trading that in. It's like, why are you trading this in, you know? Like, we'd have it displayed and stuff, you know? Like, it was super cool. What I loved about my store, though, like, or our store, rather, you know, is when our original manager was there. He always had, like, his, like, own personal, like, collector's edition figures and stuff, like, on the counters and stuff.
Yeah.
On the back cash wrap, you know, like, his Halo figures. He'd have, like, his Fallout 3 bobbleheads from when Fallout 3 came out, like, his Fallout New Vegas, like, lunchbox, you know?
Yeah.
He has stuff from, like, Capcom's, like, 20th anniversary, you know, for stuff, you know, like...
And, I mean, he was there for a long time, so all of that just collected from his gifts over the years.
Yeah, right? So, like, you'd come in, like, me as, like, a GA coming in, like, I'd see stuff like that, and it's like, yeah, I'm at it, like, it sets the environment. It's like, I'm at a GameStop.
I'm at a GameStop.
You go into another one, it's like, it doesn't really feel the same, you know? Like, they're really rude. Like, I know me and Tradehold have talked about it, you know, where it's like, you go into GameStops and you just don't feel welcome.
It's like a lack of energy, you know?
Yeah, like, I like going in there and I see, like, the original manager, like, he has a Sagat figure, like, with the boombox. You know, and it's like that boombox doesn't go with that figure, you know, but it does now. You know, and you can't separate them now.
That's funny.
You know,
We used to have a Halo Reach figurine on the back of, with a grenade on the back of what are the enemies called in Gears
Was it
of
the
War?
Grunt?
The Gears of War.
Oh, the Gears of War is the Locust?
Locust. We used to have
Yeah.
a Locust soldier, big soldier, and then we had a little Halo Reach figure, you know.
Yeah, about to
on
plant
top
him with
of
a grenade?
Yeah, about
You know?
to smash a grenade in his head. It's like you can't make that up. Only you know,
yeah.
that's only possible in a GameStop back office. So
You know, a lot of times too,
Yeah.
like especially once the time I got promoted, like I try to kind of implement that a little
Yeah,
bit,
yeah,
like
yeah.
because we'd be selling a lot more collectibles, so we'd have like the mini boxes and stuff,
right,
like the mystery boxes.
yeah,
And I think we'd always do that thing where it's just like, oh, you open it, you don't like the figure, you can leave it, you know, and we'll just like put it up on the cash wrap or something, or
Yeah.
like I would buy them, you know,
yeah,
and I'd always forget to take them home, so at some point like I'd put it somewhere, you know.
yeah, yeah,
Remember I bought the Blizzard mystery mini, you know, and I got the Barbarian from like Diablo, I think,
yeah.
and I put it next to like the computer that we had for like our COL, like our numbers, you know.
Oh
And
right.
he was our COL Barbarian.
in the back
You know,
there
yeah.
with the COL.
Like I'd have him right there. I'd be like, "You better have numbers, or he's gonna cut you." You know, yeah.
He will cut you.
You know, yeah, he
Don't
will
dare
show
him.
no mercy. You know, yeah, he's our COL Barbarian. But stuff
Yeah.
like that just makes it fun. You know, that's what I really liked about our store.
It made it a place that you wanted to hang out in. You wanted to be in, you know.
You right?
And he set it up in the front, like, you know, on the counters and all that. But he also had it in the back.
No,
too.
like even like at the computer, like in the office.
in
You
the
know?
office.
That's
yeah.
where he had like the Fallout bobbleheads and stuff.
Yeah.
Like all like he had like the cool stuff in like front, but he had like some of the rarer stuff
right,
like in the
right.
back. You know.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And yeah, I think when we opened, we only had two registers at that time, and then the third add-on wasn't there, or if it was there, it was empty, and we didn't keep anything in there. And our third computer was in the back, which we were lucky to have. And I mean, you know, this was before the Bluetooth scanners and all that, so
Mhm.
everything was a lot more difficult back
Wired.
then.
Everything was old school.
Yeah. It still is old school, but yeah, that was opening. That was actually, I think that was in like the fall. I want to say maybe like oh man, I think it was September or October, because we were getting that store ready for the holiday season. We wanted it,
Mhm.
you know, ready to go for holiday. And I remember that first Black Friday, I was working the morning shift, the opening shift. And this was before we had midnight openings for Black Friday. This is when we opened at, you know, 4 or 5 in the morning.
Yeah. You
So
know?
we didn't stay open all night. But I remember getting there at like 3:30 to, you know, just to get ready. And there was a line of people outside, and 4 o'clock came around, and our original manager wasn't there yet. And so
Nice.
I had to, you know,
Unleash the horde.
yeah, I had
You
to.
know, yeah.
Well, I didn't have.
Alert
or
the
did I
horde.
have-
You know.
I don't think I had. Did I have keys at that time? I had keys, but we were sharing keys because we had 2 key holders, but we only had 1 pair of keys.
We can get into key swapping, you
So-
know, like a whole other episode, like having to do with multiple key holders and
Yeah.
not enough keys.
And I didn't have. I
You
didn't
know,
have.
that's a
Or
fun.
like temporary promotions.
yeah,
Yeah.
those are always fun times.
Yeah, those are.
I don't
always fun.
I don't have keys. I'm standing outside the store.
Yeah, I might have
What?
had keys, but it might have been really early where I was still kind of training, so I didn't know like the code for the alarm. And
So you
all
said
that.
you're like in the LGA position.
This is
right?
LGA times, yeah. This is before everything later on, so I was still kind of like getting my bearings, and so yeah, 4 o'clock rolls around, and I don't think he ended up getting there till maybe like 4:30, or maybe even 5. So a half hour to an hour had gone by, and I had this group of people outside waiting to storm the doors and, you know, come inside, and he eventually rolled on up, and we got the store opened, and I think we opened 1 register as fast as we could, and so we can help people out, and then we counted the second register as that line was coming in, and it was just like, you go count this in the back, I'm gonna help this line. It was just me and him at that time too. We didn't have anybody else on staff. It was just me and him, and it was guerrilla warfare, man. It was
Nice.
tough.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but we got it through. That was a crazy that was our first Black Friday.
You see, that's good
Yeah.
stuff too. Like even going into like, you know, our day to day. You know,
Yeah.
like when I was started as like a basic GA, you know, that
Yeah.
standard was always there.
Yeah.
You know, at least what was expected from me from like starting was really really simple. Is what I liked. Like starting as a GA back when I started in like 2000 was like the end of 2011, I
Yeah.
think. Like it was holiday 2011 to 2012. You know, like it was just really just get your number. Like if, at the time of those holidays, it would be reservations.
Mm-hmm.
You want to get the Call of Duty up.
Right.
You know, you want to get the NBA. You know, like all those games that came out at that time. You know, but then most part it was just clear the back cash wrap, make sure that all the go backs were taken care of, make sure the walls were lined up, vacuum if you could vacuum.
Yeah.
You know,
And you know, GAs only had 4-hour shifts
Yep.
usually, so
yeah, and
was-
then the secret too was prove yourself.
right.
That was like on top of that, like
Right.
it was like show that you could be moved up or
Yeah.
like you deserve that extra hour, you know, or those extra hours.
And it was interesting. Like I wonder, like distro or even trade hold. Did you have a preference for morning or afternoon shifts,
No,
or
I
opening
like
or
closing.
closing shifts?
I like closing because that sometimes there's be like, you know, our other coworkers, you know, like that I've closed with all the time. Like you remember Trade Hold, like I closed with all the time. Like you'd sit there and it's like it was nice because I knew that the money and like all that stuff was gonna be taken care of like on time, right at the dot, like like clockwork almost, you know.
Yeah.
It was like 9:30 hit, we're good. Looked over, our wall's done. Yeah, is money good? Yeah, we're only over like 3 cents. Oh sweet, you know, like is this good? Yeah. All the go backs gone? Yeah. All right, we're going home. Like, you know, it was kind of just like, yeah, like it was just almost like efficiency, you know.
Yeah.
Like, and it was nice relying on like, you know, your teammate, you know, like your guy right there, because it makes the end of the day kind of go a little quicker.
Right.
And it makes it so it's just like, you know, things are gonna get taken care of.
That's
know?
true.
It's like someone's there to get your back.
Yeah.
Because what was like your day to day to set it up at that point?
Well,
you know?
I mean, that's why I asked, because I always kind of preferred the morning shift, and it's funny because the original manager at that time, he also preferred the morning shift, and so we both had two. Well, when I became assistant manager,
2 leaders.
Which is weird. When I became a manager, I preferred the morning shift.
maybe that's what it was. Maybe when you become
once you evolve,
when you
know?
when you come into that position, you really like the mornings for some reason, and so when you have two people who prefer the mornings, we had to flip coins.
Yeah.
But eventually, he always just got what he wanted because he was the manager at the end of the day.
Right, he was a strong arm.
Assistant. But then he'd realize how much he needed me, so then he would give me morning shifts every now and then because
Do him some favors. So
exactly.
Stay.
It was a give and take. I think it was a give and take for us. But yeah, the morning shifts were just great because you know, you just get in the morning, you're probably nice and refreshed, coffee or whatever, if that's your thing, tea, whatever. You come in, you open the gates. If it's a good day, there's no one out there waiting. If it's a bad day, then you have a line already. But on the good days, it was just, you know, it's at your own pace. You come in the morning, you open, you count. You plan the day out, not only for yourself, but for the rest of the team that's coming in. You look forward to the cavalry arriving at 1 o'clock or whenever it was. But until then, it's just you, the shipment, and maybe a scan or two or whatever you can kick out in that morning. Plus, and then the morning clientele, from what I remember, was those people who were a little bit more into gaming.
You're more demanding.
Because they made time to come into the morning, and you know, and I also remember a lot of customers, a lot of regulars would count on either myself or that manager being there in the morning, and I know that they were looking forward to working with us too, which was cool. And then in the afternoon, you just have the freaking crapshoot of casual people.
Yeah, right. No, 'cause that's the truth too. Like, especially when I started like opening, because I'll tell you, that's the dream right there. That's like GameStop Zen when you're a manager. Being in the morning, you got your coffee. You know, like I got like my cookie or something. You know, like I came in right on time.
Yeah.
Money's on point. Safe's on point.
Safe's on point.
You know, you go through and like what I used to do is I'd print out from like the GSO. We all know the good old GSO. We printed that out. It was like a daily housekeeping sheet.
Oh, yeah.
Where it was like, yeah, you can like basically check off everything. It was like, all right, money counted. You'd go through open, sign, turned on. You know, like you go over and be like, did you read the execution items on the GSO?
Right.
Check. You know, did you read the emails? Check. You know, and you can kind of keep it like.
We did have to print those.
You know, yeah, you can keep those, keep it ordered. You don't like now. When I came in, you didn't have to, but I just like because of you guys, like I just knew what this.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Well, back I don't remember if you started when we had the red book still. Or
I
the game
think it was like
planners.
right at the end.
Right when we started
right
phasing those out. Because they used to ship those to us every month, and they'd have a whole month's worth of pages. but it would have that, and that's where we got started. Well, that's where the manager he kind of instilled that practice in all of us, me and then you when you came on board. And so when they got rid of the red book, then you're right, you had to start printing that out. But it still helped.
Before we'd have it like taped literally onto the back counter.
Yeah, exactly.
Just so you can go over and be like, oh, this is what I'm here to do. You know, like. And
that had, like you said, the full day to day, and it just, for some reason, working in the morning, it felt a lot easier to check off the things in the morning, and the afternoon was just, it was a struggle, man.
So, it's nice being able to just post up real quick, talk to that really cool regular, go back, finish all your distro, no pun intended. You know, and then sit there, and do all your stuff, and
we talked a lot about cash wrap, so.
Or even working while talking. I mean, that was probably that was the expert level morning shift manager, is if you can work and talk. Because I tell you, man, sometimes you're working the morning shift and you would get caught up in one of those conversations that before you know it, you look at the clock, you spent 30 minutes talking to this guy or gal. It's like, man, I could have spent that time going through boxes.
Yeah, this guy got me talking about Gears of War 1 and 2. Now we're talking about Maria and Dom.
And I can't...
now we're getting into, like, this deep gaming conversation about, like, all of our favorites. Like, oh, man, I still haven't taken care of my RSBs yet.
Exactly. I got all this stuff, and my coverage is about to come in an hour, and I haven't done anything. So now that coverage has to do all the stuff I didn't do, which delays the things that he's got to do later in the day. I used to get lectured about that all the time, man. All the time. Because if I'm opening, then that means that manager's closing, or if he's opening, then I'm closing. So I can't tell you how many times someone would come in for the closing shift, me or him, and it would just be like, man, I'm sorry, I tried to do everything this morning, but I still got boxes left. So if you can hit those out for me, and then do what you need to do this evening.
It ends up working. Yeah, because what was your morning routine like, Dreidel? Because you had some morning shifts too,
Yeah.
Because I remember for a while there, like, I'd always come in, like, expecting to see maybe, because I was used to seeing, like, Cash Wrap, like our other, coworkers at the time, like the OGs,
Yeah.
But then, like, it was nice seeing you there in the morning, be like, oh, it's Dreidel.
When you'd see a GA in the morning.
But there was a while there. Remember whenever I came to the. Oh, it was always you. I was like, oh man, our roles have reversed.
I was hired on SGA, so I always got the full cut. I always got full time.
Yeah.
And I was requested to come in to cover for people a lot.
Yeah.
Especially because I started off seasonal. Well, I was hired during the season.
Yeah.
Seasonal time, and so a lot of people were just like, oh, I can't make this, I can't make that. So they're like, oh, Dreidel, can you come in? And I was always the one that would just straight go to. It's like, oh, can you take my shift? I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I can. Well, my morning, I mean, it's basically what you guys have mentioned already.
Did you have a lot of Zen mornings, or was it more so like, because I can tell you that's the dream, but I can tell you sometimes I've had some more.
Oh yeah.
Some more.
Oh yeah. There's been some mornings.
See, with me, I never had a preference. Honestly, I guess my preference was mid shift because I have pros and cons for morning and night, so it wasn't that. Yeah. There was not one that was better than the other. Like morning shift, the good thing about morning shift was what you guys mentioned.
Yeah.
You get in there, you do your checklist. Most of the time, you're good by yourself. But at the same time, shipments come in.
Right.
Sometimes you get like a rush of employees, and it's just you for like 3 hours.
Right.
And you got try to take care of all the stuff.
Yeah,
RSP
the lunch rush when people start going to get food and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And then what I hated. One of the things I hated most about morning shift was turning off that alarm, man. It's like as soon as you open the door, you just
with that, huh?
Just like run all the way over there.
Especially in that store, that gate doesn't open as quick as you'd like it to, and the door you have to jimmy it. And that alarm is fucked up. It only gives you like 30 seconds, like if that.
Yeah.
And like I remember we at the time there was a manager that we were training there, and I told him, I was like, dude, like if door opens, you gotta run it. He was just like, gives me a call. He's like, alarm's going off. He's just like, you weren't joking, man. He's like, that's a quick time. Well, and I'm like, dude, no, like I told you, like if you can't get the door open right away, you're already screwed.
Yeah. No, seriously,
you couldn't mess around.
When I got to the door, I would do one of these things where I'm like, all right, gotta get prepped. Like I'm about ready to run like track or something. It's like, okay. It's like, oh no, the door will open. Crap, that alarm's gonna go.
You get your phone ready because you're about to get that call, right?
Yeah,
you're about to get that call.
Yep.
I think the system. What?
I was just gonna say that's another thing too. It's like when you get that call, like first you're struggling with that alarm, and then you know you're gonna get that call
Yeah.
and it's gonna be immediate. So you get into that, you finally get that alarm off, and then you have to run behind the counter because the phone's already ringing.
Yeah, yeah, its phone's already ringing.
It's like, all right, what's your password? All right.
And then like, okay, wait, where did I store my password? What was it?
Yeah.
Right.
And I think the alarms are rigged to go off for everyone's first shift. I think they are.
So
I'm
what's
fairly
funny is
certain.
like all the other stores that I ever worked at, the alarm was fine. Like it gives you like a minute, 2 minutes. Like
Yeah.
you can walk up, I can mosey up, with my.
Well,
I've
coffee.
actually, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Every
And
other
then,
store I've
like-
worked at,
But
And
you
then-
went to other stores already a key holder. I'm saying the first time you become a key holder, I think the alarm is rigged to go off.
is that right?
For your very first time?
Really?
I think I'm not. It's
Because
unproven.
mine didn't go off.
For your first time, I thought it did.
I think it didn't go off on my first
It didn't
time
go
either.
off for my first time, but there were times where when I first got promoted, like where I was standing there and I was just like, "Fuck my life."
Okay, but your very first time it didn't go off.
no.
Okay.
I don't think
And
my
yours
very first time
didn't
didn't either,
Okay,
no.
your
I
very
think-
first time.
Not my very
opening.
first time. I think the second time I opened.
Yeah, for me it was
when
like my
Okay.
third or fourth time. Yeah,
Yeah.
like my alarm went off.
But that was-
Okay, maybe
that was
it's
me
a
not
window
making it.
then.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a window.
Because that was the second store that I went to.
It
Oh,
might
the
be a
second
window.
store,
Yeah,
okay.
it might be a
Second
window.
Well, how long after you got promoted to key holder for first time did the alarm go off?
Like I said, like third or fourth opening, so probably
Okay.
like within that
so
first.
maybe
week,
it's a
yeah.
window.
It's like
Within that first week,
between
you know?
your first 5 times.
No, they
yeah,
don't
but
believe me. There's been
within
times-
your first 5.
Yeah, there were times where I go up to that pin pad, like that pin pad, and I fucking put my code in, and it wouldn't register, and I'd
Yeah.
be like, "What?" Like,
I do
You know,
remember
yeah.
that was
Oh,
an issue with
man.
that. Our store actually had issues with that, if I remember right.
And then I'd call like my manager at the time, or like even like the old manager, I'd be like, "Dude, my code wasn't working." He's like, "Dude, like, are you sure?
Yeah.
It's the same one you use?" I'm like, "You're telling me like, it's the same one I use every morning, dude." Like, I'm not
Oh,
just
man.
standing here like, "Oh damn, I forgot." I even have it in my phone.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not standing here like, "Damn, I forgot my code," and they're just saying like, "Yeah, sure, you didn't forget your code." I'm like,
Yeah.
Let's see, like, my openings. Let's see, one of my worst was Majora's Mask 3DS.
"Ooh,
That was like a really last minute
That was a-
announcement.
that was a good announcement / launch / game for me."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
I
jumping
was
into
like-
that for a while.
That was fun.
Yeah, but opening for that was not. That was when
Yeah,
like the system
right.
crashed.
Mm-hmm.
Pre-orders didn't work. I mean, I had a line going for a good hour. I've been being on the phone and
Wow.
stuff trying to get this pre-order going. Zero. I mean, when they first launched that morning, because I think they tell us. I don't remember if they told us like the night before. Like they barely gave us any warning about that. And then Nintendo Direct said, "Oh, 3DS is available now at GameStop." So people are already at the door when I got there.
Yeah, no,
Like-
that was fucked because that was my whole dilemma was I had bought it, and they had taken it out of my cart, even after they had basically like taken my money and charged me and
Yeah.
everything, and I was
Yeah.
just saying that whole dilemma with the 3DS, and like I had to get mine because I told them I was like I had issues like it was in the cart, you guys charged me, you're telling me you're taking it back now, like. It was like what's going on, guys? Like, can you help me out? And like they were actually cool enough to send me one, so that's why I was just like, oh man, dude.
Yeah.
Because I told him I was like, why would you have it in my cart? Why would you charge me for it literally and
Yeah.
then just straight cancel it? I know you have them in your warehouse.
Yeah.
I know they're in your warehouse.
Yeah.
Wasn't
like,
yours?
you
Wasn't
know?
yours on the second wave though?
No, mine was first wave.
For yours is first
Mine was
wave?
first wave, yeah.
And that's that's
I made a
that's-
scene, dude. I was like that angry girl at Walmart, with me with the bob cut. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like the angry mom. Just,
Yeah. Yeah.
just
yeah.
like I need to speak to a manager right now. Like
Yeah.
I was not having it at all. Like I love my Zelda. But.
I mean, I would have to say, I just want to quick mention this. We'll probably do a whole episode on this, or at least partial on this, regarding holding games for employees. I know a lot of people have problems with that, but you know what? You can't ring yourself up when you're working.
You
That's
can.
true.
So
Yeah.
it's a problem for us too. You know,
Yeah.
like if we don't have the option to hold it, they sell out, and we never get, we never had a shot at it because we're working. So, anyways,
For the
you know,
morning shift.
Yeah,
people.
but
yeah,
I'd have people freaking ring me up right away if it was something I really wanted.
You're
yeah.
right.
Well, I mean,
I'd
if
say-
you had somebody else with you, like
yeah,
with that-
no, if you're in the morning though and you're on your own.
Yeah,
Did
you're
we
on your own,
have
yeah,
you can do
opening
that.
GA?
Yeah, you mean a lot of trouble if you ring yourself up.
Mhm.
So that's
Oh,
that's
yeah.
like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, no, I
P&L right
wouldn't-
there.
yeah, right.
Knocking on your door. But
But back to your Majora's Mask opening.
no, but I mean, the transaction wouldn't go through. None of the transactions would go through, and so later on they're like, oh yeah, they sent out an email. Okay, have them call this number. I'm like, well, how do I call their number? The transaction didn't go through, so they didn't record who pre-ordered.
Yeah.
And so I had to go through this whole loophole. Well, not really a loophole, but it was like, okay, who bought, this item that was friends with someone who was pre-ordering. So I tracked down one person by looking at his friend who bought a Nintendo eShop card. So I called him and go, oh, tell your friend to come back over here so I can give him a number for him to call. And then another one was like, okay, I remember him because he was from like, and I remember typing up his zip code, and so I did that. And I'm like, okay, it's that guy because there's not that many, from Mongo. So it was 4 customers. I remember it was like 4 customers. I had trouble just looking up.
Yeah.
But that Majora's Mask opening was ridiculous, and we can probably go into amiibos and stuff too.
So I'll tell you what my worst one of my worst openings was. I think the second wave of amiibo that came out. I think it was like Charizard and like all those ones that came out.
I was actually gonna mention this
because there was that one where the site literally crashed, and then we had one register open because it was online only as well. Like you couldn't throw 5 down; it had to be paid off in full.
Right,
it was
Shipped
Weapon
to your
Store,
house,
right?
It was Weapon Store, yeah.
Weapon Store.
So we had a system where we're gonna make it as efficient as possible for everybody. We're gonna basically make one register dedicated to signups. We had the keyboard like literally at the register with the computer turned over, so that people can come up and just type out their stuff as quickly as they could, just fill it out, and then like you would go, and then like they would basically just like print out the sheet.
The sheet you're talking about, I think, was like the 3rd or 4th wave. That was like Lucina and Robin.
Yeah, no, it was definitely before that, because it was where they'd have to like they had to pre-order the whole thing, pay it off in full, and have it shipped to the house.
I remember the one you're talking about because that's Charizard, Wario, and I forget who else, but there was like 4. That one we didn't have the sheet yet. I remember that. That was.
You see, we didn't use the sheet at all either. If I mentioned the sheet, it was on accident. But I was like, because I know when you order online, the only thing you get is a confirmation email at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you'd have to have it shipped in stores, to actually get like the sheet coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. It was terrible for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. And system crashing. I remember with our store, there was, because we had 3 registers. So there was, I want to say there was 2 for amiibos and 1 for regular transactions. And
they sold out at some point too, didn't they?
Yeah. But the 2, like, we had 2 non-working registers because it froze. The whole amiibo, like, the site GSO just like froze completely. We're like, we're sorry, we can't do anything.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, people were super mad.
Oh yeah, they were. I mean, there were some people who were really cool. They understood, but most of them were regulars. Other people were just like there in line. They're like, "What's going on? Why isn't that moving?" But we got to a point where we're like, well, we were, everyone knows who was in front of them, so they got to a point where they just like sat on the side, just chilling until everything got back up again.
Yeah. See, those ones like
some people went
race into GameStop at like 7 a.m. so you can jump in the amiibo line before the store opens, just so you can get that 1 or 2 extra of the ones that are coming through.
Yeah.
I need that. How many Charizards you guys get? 2 extra. All right, I'm seeing you in the morning. Post up. Oh, there's only 1 dude in line. Hold on.
Yeah.
Who are you here for? Oh, I'm here for some, like the other one. I'm like, oh shit, yes. Like I'm good, and like the community in line too was super fun and super cool. Like people, it was almost like family. It's like, no, we already counted. We already know who's getting it. It's us right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember the Lucina and Robin one was like the hardest thing because. So I mean, some of them were just like, oh yeah, we only got in 1 Lucina.
Oh, Lucina was terrible, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that one just because I didn't work that day, but actually it was Lucina at the time when Charizard came out. I can't remember now, but I remember that day was when I think lined up at like 4 at one other store to get it because I was getting it for my manager at the time, when I got hired,
right?
Because she was on maternity leave. So she was still in the hospital, so I was getting it for her. So then I was like, okay, well I gotta get my own set too. So, so that was tough, man. But yeah, getting back onto the topic. So yeah, I mean I didn't have a preference for morning, and then there's the pro and con for night shift too. Night shift is like most of the time you're closing with somebody, so we're always chilling. I always enjoy working with someone else because we're chatting, getting stuff done. But the tough part about night shift is just that sometimes morning shift, for whatever happened, obviously we all know, we just talked about it. Things happen, and that checklist, not everything might not have been even halfway done. You're like, well, now you're struggling to catch up on everything. So
the best part about opening shift is when the after work rush would come in around 5:30 and being able to say peace out.
Yeah. I
Good
will also
luck.
like to say,
Good night and good luck,
Yeah, right. Yeah,
distro, because you have the closing shift and my shift is over.
yeah.
you're right.
And I mean, another good thing about the morning shift, and I think this is goes in line with what you guys were talking about regarding your position. It just feels like you have more to do with the rest of your day.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like when you have the closing shift, it's like
Yeah.
one of those moments like, oh, I wake up and now I already got to go to work.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, it's well, morning shift hours are your standard 9 to 5 hours.
Mhm.
You know, I
Mhm.
mean it's a typical shift of work
Mhm.
where you know have time after work to do whatever it is that you want to do. But when you have the afternoon shift, you know, from noon or 1 till close, I mean that's your day. You know, you get to sleep
That's
in,
true.
which is nice.
Yeah.
You get to get some lunch, which is nice.
Mhm.
But you know, I hope you didn't have anything planned for the evening because you're gonna
Yeah.
be here.
Well, another good thing about the night shift is, on top. Well, I mean, you know, the con is sometimes people aren't caught up, but when they are, you're just more chill because you're in the morning
Yeah.
you're trying to get all the stuff done before the store opens,
Right.
and then how much stuff distracts you while you're
Mhm.
still getting stuff done also makes it a problem.
Yeah.
And then when you're at the night shift, you're like, oh, a lot of this stuff is done.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I just gotta have this stuff done. It's not like a rush to
Right.
get them done anymore.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah, like
But,
yeah, like jumping on that too. Even when I started first as a key holder, you know, moving to another store,
Mhm.
it was real basic. Yeah, it was just like get the money counted, get the deposit taken if you could, you know, make sure that everything was taken care of as far as like trash, all that stuff, and then you got the store open. You know, by the time the store was open, you got your distros, you got all that stuff
Mhm.
to take care of before
Mhm.
like your opener came in. But as it grew, you know, like there was a lot more that we needed to start adding onto there.
Yeah.
Because even like when I was there, and like they added on trade hold, yeah, they threw the trade hold system in there where it's like now I have to worry about getting these consoles off trade hold real quick.
Or when they
And
brought in electronics and you had your tablet station.
Yeah,
And that added a whole nother
and
section.
that added
of
like a
things to
whole
do.
extra because you'd have to take care of counts in the morning too.
Mhm.
So you'd have to do like your system count, you know, your basic like whatever category count you're doing, and then like exactly every morning it had to be all the
Counts.
tablets, you know.
Cleaning
Both
them
both
throughout the
used
day.
and brand new from like the like I don't know if you ever saw it, but like the store that we had like this big old glass cabinet,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
That was just like this monster, you know. And then like I remember when they took that thing out, I was just like, oh thank God, you know. But yeah,
Yeah.
that thing was freaking huge. And like it was like all these different counts, like oh man, now I have this extra task what's gonna take an extra 10-15 minutes, you know. And that added on to there. And then they added the second, like another one like later on too, by the time even before I was a system manager, was the what they called the ship from store system. Where it was like
Right.
it was another store like somewhere out in the country that couldn't like, you know, fulfill someone's request, but my store has the item.
Yeah.
So they're having me ship that item to the person,
yeah.
you know, instead of the warehouse doing it or something. Like they're using almost as a warehouse.
As a warehouse.
And then we get in trouble if you don't get like essentially your stuff taken care of because my district manager walked in and saw that little truck jumping, you know, with the red or like you know
have a
1 or
ship to
2 or
store
whatever.
pending.
I have something pending, you know. It's like, well, why wasn't this taken care of? And like you were mentioning earlier, you know, trade hold is like they're just basic distractions. You're even mentioning it too. It's not that they're negative things. It's just you know you're only human, you know.
Yeah.
You're taking care of your task, but at the same time you have to take care of the person.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then they're talking about like us having to still use like tablet,
Mhm.
still having to answer phones, you know,
Mhm.
and like we were saying too, there's hardly a time where you have backup in the
Mhm.
morning.
Man,
So
I
you know,
think,
like it really snowballed into like this thing where it was like I couldn't come in and
Mhm.
like I said have my morning coffee anymore. It's like I need my
Yeah.
morning coffee like 30 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Like that
That's why
time
you-
has
yeah.
come and gone.
Yeah.
If I haven't had my coffee by the time I'm in the store, I'm
Yeah.
already behind the
Yeah.
ball.
Yeah, you
know?
have to get going either
Yeah,
way.
dude.
Coffee
You know?
or no coffee, you got to be ready for
Mhm.
those gates to open.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Especially like you're saying too, like good mornings are when you don't have someone standing out the door, but then the next morning is like you're sitting there and there's 2 people with like a box of crap, and you know it's just
Oh, that's the
crap. It's not
worst.
like you know I never minded doing trades, but like I hate when it's just like here's my garbage,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And like they haven't even taken the time to look at what's in there. You know they haven't dusted it off. They haven't even like you don't even have to sort it. Just at least like you're presenting it to somebody. You know you're trying to sell it to me, and then you're gonna get mad when I take money off of it. It's like
yeah.
you know.
Tell some of the
That's true.
people
That's
outside of GameStop right now. I mean, not literally outside, but I mean people who
To-
haven't worked
To
there.
all our homies out
And
in the,
they-
in the tents outside, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the with the morning shift, you know you get in there. You're supposed to get in there an hour before opening, although a good majority of us would come in earlier because you just have so many things you have to get done.
And some
You
of
know,
us
you-
would come in later.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, when you're late, yeah. But I mean, you have to, you open the gate, you run to the alarm. You had to lock the door too.
Mhm.
Sometimes you gotta compromise. I gotta go straight to the alarm and then go back and lock the door.
Yeah, because that's the
Like,
whole thing too. Is like they say, what if someone walked in right behind you, you know?
Yeah,
and,
yeah,
like,
exactly.
mugged you. It's just like, yeah, and what if like the sky fell, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you know, that would suck.
Yeah.
You know?
But I mean, majority of the time, I think, majority of the time I went straight for the alarm and then locked the door. You're not supposed to, but that alarm goes quick, and so when you're like that key, we were just talking about that.
Yeah.
Our doors.
Mm.
Sometimes you're just like, bail, leave it.
Yeah.
Tell
Leave
my
it
story.
alone.
Yeah, you know, just
Yeah.
leave him forced.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, then you gotta turn on the system. You gotta do the accounts for the register, and then almost every morning you get like an email. You gotta do the printouts, and then
Mhm.
there's
Yeah, I didn't even mention the email. Yeah.
yeah, then you
Yeah,
get all the
monitoring
stickers of
emails.
all the different prices. You gotta stick all that
Oh,
on
gosh.
there.
Remember price
Most of the time,
changes?
you
Oh damn, yeah, price. Of course, do I remember price changes? Oh, man.
That's probably the one thing that didn't get finished in
Yeah.
morning most often.
no, it
almost never, dude. Until
Yeah.
probably like closing
It-
shift.
I
until
mean,
once the
carried
GA came in,
over.
like,
And then when we had to match the price changes with those power-up stickers,
yeah.
and having to go through every game on the wall that had a price change and change those little stickers on top of the price change sticker. Yeah, that never got done
Yeah.
in the morning. That was always left over for the closer.
Yeah. I mean, I think on average, what I've seen, did I add an E? Did I add an D to averaged? No,
Yeah.
on average, I see price changes done by like 1.
Yeah.
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 But
It took a
I
while.
mean, and that's not even you had to do sometimes you had to do is it cat counts or which one was it where you had to do the printouts and you had to like count it and just
that's
That was-
so
that was
TOH
morning.
is verifying that what you have on the wall is
Mhm.
what's in the drawers. So you
Mhm.
print out the list of all your games and you go
Mhm.
onto the wall to make sure that they're actually there. The
Mhm.
cat
Cat count
count
was
is just
the-
making sure that your inventory is correct.
Right.
yeah
So
You
the
know,
one
yeah.
that we printed on paper
Yeah.
was the cat count.
yeah. So people are not aware of that there was cat count, so we had to do that in the morning. I
Mhm.
mean, there was a lot of stuff to do in the morning.
a lot.
So I mean, stuff too. Like if you wanted to go above and beyond, at least what I made easy for my staff was
Mhm.
like I'd go and I'd print the emails out, sure, but then like I'd go through like they'd send the numbers out. Like I'd go through and I'd highlight our store individually.
Mm-hmm.
I'd put, oh, we're in first place right now in like this metric. We're in third place in this metric. You know,
Yeah.
like if you it made like what sucked about that position too is like trying to go above and beyond and trying to actually like do these things to help your store.
Yeah.
It's almost like you couldn't fit time for it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's almost like there's times where it's like I could be a better like employee and a better like manager,
Mhm.
but it's just like if I don't, I'm gonna fall behind. Like you know,
Mhm.
or if I do, I'm gonna fall behind on this like tasks and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then like it's either you choose your sword or your weapon. You know, like
Yeah.
death by what. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would say now, and I don't recommend anyone actually do this, but this is what I did. I don't think you guys did it either, because you're not supposed to. I would go in earlier than what I was my shift, and I wouldn't clock in, and I would get some stuff done before, and then I would clock in at the time I needed to clock in, which was 1 hour before opening.
Mm.
But it's like sometimes I get in like an hour and a half or 2 hours before opening to get some of this stuff done. There were some things about it though, because once you turn on the system, they technically should already know, but
Mhm.
it's not like
once,
something
once
they
the alarm has been
regularly-
hit, you know.
yeah.
Yeah.
something that they
see-
regularly monitor though. So-
Not
never-
something to be condoned,
yeah,
by the way.
yeah,
You know, I never came in early off the clock, but I definitely stayed off the clock
Yeah.
plenty of times. Where it's
I-
just like
Another
I
thing
need
not
to-
to
I
be
need to-
condoned,
Yeah.
by the way.
That's what I'm saying, like, I
not
don't
to be
suggest doing
condoned,
it, I'm
but I'll
just-
tell you, it
That's what-
happened.
exactly.
Fuck it.
It
But,
Well,
Yeah.
you
know,
just you felt the pressure to do that.
Well,
and it
that's-
was hard because
it's not
It's
so
not
much
enough
the
time.
it's just not so much the pressure too, but it's like there's times where it's just like there's not enough hours in the day.
Mhm.
There's not enough hours that they've given us. Like my guy still needs his lunch. You know,
Yeah.
like I'm not gonna leave him to just take all these bullets. Like
yeah,
I need to help. I need
Anything-
to help him take care of the line.
yeah,
Because here's the thing too: is like it's not just like your store suffering. Is like these are people too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like you know, they can only take so much of like being
Yeah.
on the front line and just
Mhm.
dealing with people's bullshit on.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
You know, it's like because there's times where like you said you want to be like just peace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, but then there's times where like as a manager I'd look back and be like, damn, this is the guy that's working for me. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And like, how am I supposed to like tell him to do all this stuff? How's he gonna like? I always did things like I'm the kind of leader that leads by example.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You
Right.
know, it's just like, hey, dude, you need to take your lunch. I'm gonna stay here for you. You know?
Right.
I should be gone, but
Yeah.
you know what? He's probably gonna come back and be like, damn, like refresh. You know,
Yeah.
belly full, ready to work again. As
Yeah.
opposed to, you know, like looking over and being like, damn, my manager just bailed. I haven't gotten my lunch yet. You know what I mean? Like, those are two different scenarios where it's like, you know,
Yeah.
I'd bite that bullet. I'd be like,
Yeah.
hey, you know what? I'm staying that extra half hour to hour.
Mhm.
So, like, make sure at least my back counter's clear.
Yeah.
Make sure that this is taken care of before, like, this next person comes in. Because it sucks.
It did.
You
It
know?
did suck.
I mean,
It sucked with seeing your team members go through that. It did. It did as a
Like,
leader of the store.
Yeah, because it's different, like, as a GA seeing it. But once you're, like, in the leadership role, you know?
It's different. It is different. That being said, your people should do their own shit though.
You know, yeah.
And if they're not doing the things that they did back in the day that me and the original manager were there, if they didn't do it, then we had a problem. So
Mhm.
there would be times where I would be tempted to stay late and help out the manager, you know, clear out the back counter or whatever. But I mean, at the end of the day, if I'm off, I'm off.
Mhm.
And there's a reason the company told us, if you're off the clock, you're off the clock.
Mhm.
Don't stay around. Don't even stay in the store. Like if you're on your lunch,
Well,
don't spend
stop
it out on the
working, yeah.
don't
Yeah,
spend
right.
it out on the floor, you know, because then you're working or
Mhm.
your people are going to think you're working, you
Yeah.
know.
that,
So
I mean, that also becomes a legal issue.
it becomes a legal issue, which is really big now. Actually,
Yeah.
it's a really big legal issue now.
Yeah.
It was then, but it's even bigger now
You're right.
in our state. But yeah, I mean, that's probably one of the tougher things about the day to day for someone in management is learning how to make the most efficient
Mhm.
use of your time, but also, you know, balancing that with, you know, recognizing when something maybe should get done a lot sooner. And
Mhm.
you'd get some
Yeah,
of the
right.
communications from some of the higher ups, your district manager, whoever, who would say things like, I'm not saying stay after and do this, but this needs to get done
Yeah.
today. You know,
Yeah,
like they
right.
would give you those messages, and so you as a manager would have to, or a key holder would have to make that tough decision. Like,
It's true.
well,
It's
how do we do that then?
like say you chose to either get roasted in the morning because of what didn't get done,
Yeah,
or you choose to, you know, like you said, you know, like do as much as you can when you can.
right,
Because
right.
I always feel like my employees, you know, was just as long as I see that you're trying your best, you
Yeah.
know, and you're giving an effort and you're coming in, you're actually working for me.
Right.
Like I'm gonna do anything I can to help you.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean,
yeah.
I would have to say that most of the time, within the store itself, with the manager, everything's cool. It's when district comes around when it's like,
Right.
well, you
It's
don't
the
understand.
expectations on that.
Yeah, it was like
level.
when you don't understand,
Mhm.
like this,
like
you
we
didn't see this.
we can play that card where it's just like, well, you know, law says that,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
I can't work overtime, you know. He's like, well, then why didn't you like get this done? And like you're trying to show him, like, tell him, it's like, well, and then it becomes a question. It's like, well, if your staff can't get it done, are you hiring the right people?
Right.
And it's just like,
Or if you can't get it done
you know,
in the time allotted, then how are you spending your time?
you know how you're
And then-
spending your time, and then like
Exactly.
even if you have like camera evidence, you know, it's just like it's an easier conversation to ask them why aren't you doing it,
Yeah.
as
yeah.
opposed to getting down to like the you know exactly why it's
Yeah.
not happening. Because you know because I'm not the kind of person like we're never the people who's like passing off like oh well my
Yeah.
guys just didn't get it done. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, we
It's
would
like, you know-
never do
And
that.
that's really cool about like
Don't
our
pass
store
the
too.
blame,
You know,
yeah.
like we
That
were
was
all
cool
like
about
we were
our
all like a
store.
real close knit team.
We
you
were
know?
close
no,
knit.
no
we
throwing
were
people under the bus.
we were
no.
all
Yeah, right.
accountable for our own stuff,
Mhm.
so we wouldn't have to throw other people under the bus
Yeah.
because they would
Mhm.
throw themselves under the bus if they knew they didn't do something.
Yeah.
You know, correctly.
And I mean, if you, I mean, it just goes back to like being in the morning, when people walk in, like as soon as you open, because the last thing you do, the last thing you do as opening before you open the door, or even after you open the door. I guess the first thing you do after you open the door is still open the rest of the gates.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
the-
Yeah.
you
Get
know,
the main gate open,
and
then
then
the rest
someone
come later.
walks in, and you still gotta the thing that doesn't get done, like 95% of the time. I would say 99% of the time. By the
Yeah.
time you open the gates, is changing the prices.
Yeah.
And so someone walks in, you're trying to change prices, they ask you questions, they want to buy something, you know, and you're not
Yeah.
even halfway through changing prices, and then shipment comes in,
Yeah.
and then you gotta
Yeah.
scan into shipments, gotta
Right.
verify, all the items, and
So
so sometimes, well, I'm just saying this to customers too. Sometimes you feel like like the employees are being rude because they're like ignoring you or something,
Yeah.
or trying to get work done. They're trying to get their work done.
Yeah, they are.
Because there's pressure on that.
how many
So-
times do you remember being in this like picture this, you being in this position, morning shift, you've got the Bluetooth scanner in one hand scanning the wall of Xbox 360 games. So you're right in the middle of that TOH scan. It's picking it up on the
TOH.
computer. So
Oh.
you're also trying to listen for that sound that tells you that you missed the scan. So you're trying to pay attention to that. You're trying to hear that. you've got price changes around your neck, because those are ready to go, and you're probably doing those as you're doing the TOH scan while listening to the computer. You've got the phone in your back pocket just in case it rings, and you've got a customer to your right, maybe even to your left also, who are asking you about things and trying to maintain.
And grabbing the game that's conveniently like right after the one you need to scan.
Yeah, and then in your right hand you've freaking got a cigarette because it's so stressful. You know, like, who knows? I don't know. Like it's just
like one of our old coworkers that come in with a vape pen and just
right in the middle of the shift. Too,
right in the middle of the shift,
so
like right
funny.
behind the cash wrap. You know.
You guys really have? Well, did one of your new stores actually have that? Or?
No, like when I first started,
You
you
remember
remember,
him,
like
yeah.
Oh,
like,
oh, really?
Yeah, we had a coworker. Yeah, you know. You remember that? You know, he'd come
I
in just
remember. And
all
just-
the time, just super stressed out, just
vape right as he's doing. As he's processing trade, like a giant stack of trade, just back turned to the customer who's waiting, just doing this, and you see just a puff
ripping his
of
vape
clouds.
pen,
Kind of.
Oh man, dude.
And then, hey, dude, you got a customer. Oh, okay. He puts his vape pen away.
I missed that. Yeah.
Hey, what's going on? So yeah, like how many times does that sounds
Too
familiar,
many.
right?
Yeah, you know. Yeah.
The price change around the
Except
neck.
the cigarette, mine was like a Colt Python, so I can freaking.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was nuts. It was nuts. But again, it was even worse in the evening because you had all of that stuff to do still, but then you had 10 customers in the store as opposed to the one who's bothering you, you know? And it's like, and in the morning it was probably easier to manage the few customers that came in if it was just a few customers, because if they would see you doing all these things, like, you know, scanning a TOH while maybe, you know, oh, I need to take this phone call real quick, or, you know, doing a price change, or even, you know, doing distro or boxes, they would kind of pick up on that sometimes, and they'd be like, oh, like, I see you're busy, like, you know. But you're still, like, trying to talk to them.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
And it's like, yeah, but other times they'd keep talking, and, you know, I'd have to,
it's an art. It's an art form.
It's an art form.
Be able to accomplish your work while also holding a conversation with someone who knows that, like, it's not that you don't want to talk to them, obviously.
Right.
But it's just the fact that, like, your attention, like, because I don't want to talk to somebody and not give them my full attention.
Right.
You know? Like, I feel like, you know, it's being super rude.
That was the toughest
You know?
thing.
So that's
Yeah.
like when I'm, but at the same time, like, I take a lot of pride in my work, too. So it's like, you know, I'm here to take care of my work. You know?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you try to, you know, accommodate, like, the customer. You want to be, you know, that, because our store was really good with customers.
Yeah.
I want to say, like, we were really with the customer service. And so we didn't want to, you know, lose that part of it, but at the same time, we want to get our work done. And the worst thing was TOH.
Yeah, TOH.
You really do not want to get lost when you're doing TOH. We have to talk about that sometime.
I think we will. I think, that's a whole beast in and of itself. But
yeah, but I'd say overall, like my general like day-to-day, you know, opening experience, it definitely evolved from like being a GA to manager.
Yeah.
Especially with all the extra tasks.
Well, you saw a change, you know?
Like it was definitely like, you know, a lot more. Like I said, it snowballed into this whole different beast.
A whole different thing. You had to start thinking about things on a broad, like, you know, macro term where it wasn't just my numbers, it was my team's numbers, and it wasn't just
the store's numbers, you know. Like,
it wasn't just am I keeping my register 3 clear because that's my assigned register for my shift. It's am I keeping all 3 registers clear, you know?
Or like I said, it's not my 9 to 5 where I'm just clocking in, punching out, you know, punching in, punching out.
Right.
It was like I said, that sometimes you have to take that bullet and stay a little bit later, you know.
Yeah.
I'd say how was you know your general thoughts of your day to day there?
Yeah, I think I mean, it was a lot. I had my preferences, morning shift, but I think through it all though, you just we kind of talked about it in the last show. You just learn so much, you know. You learn how to prioritize, and you learn how to organize, and multitask is one of the biggest things you learn in that kind of role, you know. And it's all trial by fire, you know. If you don't do well, then you're probably not going to last long, and we've all seen people who didn't last long because they couldn't do that, you know.
Yeah, it's like our old manager, the guy that hired me, you know, told me, it's like, you know, I drop all you guys out in the deep end, and if you make it back to the shallows, you get to stay.
You get to stay. You know, you've earned your keep at that point.
Yeah, you're a keeper, you know.
And if you didn't make it back, if you didn't make it back,
you
then they're not here for a reason. So, Yeah,
unless you're some deep water.
Yeah, exactly. Deep water, not shallows here. We're talking deep blue sea now. But
straight in the ocean.
yeah, for everyone out there who's listening who goes through this now, or anyone who can relate to this, it's I still think it's one of the best, experiences that one can have, especially early in your career before you dive, especially early in your training in adult, education, before you start what you want to do in life, before you get into your career.
You're right.
Like, this really lays some serious groundwork for
I
some
can say it's some serious XP that you'll get.
Yeah.
I can say, yeah, exactly. If anyone that's going through this right now, if you can do that efficiently and get it done, and take care of yourself and prioritize it, like, you can take those that XP and those skills and apply them anywhere.
And I don't think we got it when we first started. I think it took some time. I know it took you some time.
Yeah,
we worked with you a lot, and I know it probably took you some time to kind of get up to that speed. Well, you had a little experience.
Yeah, I had experience at another game store for like 5
years.
Yeah,
so you kind of probably eased into it a little
quick. At least
easier.
That's what I was told.
But yeah, right.
So
but yeah,
evaluations.
I think the general idea is it takes time to get to that level. That's to perform to the level of what you're expected at that company. And so for anyone who's going through that and maybe isn't doing so well or is having a tough time, I mean, it only takes a matter of finding someone who does it well and learning from them, like putting yourself in a position to learn from the sensei at that point. Right. I think that's probably the best way to get up to that level.
Yeah, so some of the best advice I got. So wise men aren't afraid to ask for help.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so. I would say it's a very make or break type of job, especially as your first job. It's like Distro was saying, with like, if you're comparing with RPGs and XP and all that, it's like getting to that area that you shouldn't be in yet because there's a whole bunch of high level enemies.
Yeah.
So like, if you're someone who kind of more wants to challenge yourself, then it's a really good like position to start with, because you'll learn a lot.
You'll learn
but
a lot.
If you're one of those people who are like anxiety ridden, it's really easy to break you. And I mean, if you're also someone who wants, if you're one of those people and you want to change yourself, it's also a good job to have, because
it's probably one of the best to break you out of that shell if that's what you want to do.
You just gotta you gotta stick with it. If you stick with it, definitely.
There are so many people that I've worked with in my time there who had never imagined themselves doing the things that I saw them do by the time they left, or by the time I left them. Like, it forces you out, but it does it in a way, like the nature of the work does it in a way where it almost like, gets your buy-in on it. You're scared, you're not one to come out from, the shadows and the background, but, the expectation there kind of puts it on you to find that out about yourself. So, yeah, I think in our day-to-day chat, I think that's probably the thing that sticks out to me the most is, it might seem menial, but there's some good stuff to be had, for sure.
Yeah, definitely some good content,
And again, I was on a more on point way of saying it. It's also a good start, because it doesn't pay that well. So it's definitely one of the good. It's a
retail job.
So I'll tell you,
it's good. I mean, even with the retail job,
we can get into that in a whole nother episode.
I know. I'm just saying though, like, it's not one that you would stick as a career, I would say, but it's a good starter.
Yeah. If you're going career, you probably have thoughts of headquarters, but I wouldn't. I don't know. You could.
You can strive for it.
Yeah, right.
There's a lot of cool perks.
It's a good beginner job though, for sure. Because it teaches you a lot, and then you can take a lot from it going somewhere else that
Yeah.
Like I said, being someone like on the other side that just left the company and found something else, I could tell you, if you can do that, you can do anything.
It lays a good ground.
You essentially, it's like like you were saying, Trade Hold, it's like a hard area, and then once you go back to the area you're supposed to be in, it's like you just start wrecking.
Yeah, that's true. You just hit your stride at one point.
Oh, you're stressed at this? Really? This is nothing. Like, Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Guess,
So yeah, that's another.
Yeah, it might be time to drop the gates.
Yeah.
Might be time to finally close up shop.
I think it's time to head home after this, closing shift tonight.
Yeah.
So yeah, from everyone at your closing staff, this is once again Cash Wrap talking.
All right. This is Trade Hold.
And you got Distro here.
All right. And I say power to the podcast.
Power to the podcast.